link that you can post in there in a minute, but I
Okay.
can't go to it. It'll cause a. What's up, everybody? Welcome.
Ayo.
I've got some people here. I don't know what happened. They just appeared in this room. What are you guys doing here? How'd you get here?
We're building shit in New Hampshire, man. That's
That's
what's
right.
happening.
That's right. So a little backstory for people that follow me. I've been working on redoing Pitchfire's pitch deck. And a couple weeks ago, I saw someone tell me about This Week in Startups. Jason Calacanis' podcast he does about startups was doing a little pitch competition. I'm like, oh, this is perfect because I just redid our deck. I can get feedback and stuff. And what they did is they actually had like 32 different cities in the United States like do meetups with other founders, and everyone did little workshops on making their pitch better. And I went to one, and Rachel and Ryan were the ones that were running it. So what's up, guys? Do you want to give a little dirt and backstory about your experience with Jason?
Yeah.
Go, Ryan.
Ray, no, I mean your story originates with you.
Yeah. I was originally from Maine. Ryan's from Massachusetts. Our first date was in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, like 20 years ago.
Wow.
When popovers.
Yeah, bridging the gap. That's good.
Yeah. Lived in San Francisco for 7 years, New York. We moved to Miami after COVID, and we did not love it. We were just meeting a lot of crypto boys at tech meetups, which is like fine. We also own crypto, but it's not like our whole personality, and it's not the only thing we want to talk about. Went to, if anyone's heard of the All In podcast, we went to the first summit. Really enjoyed just meeting kind of more diverse, kind of dynamic people, not just like software engineers, which is a lot of times what happens at tech meetups. Anyway, trying to meet new people in Miami, I created a little sign up form because I was going to host an episode 100 listening party. My little sign up form went viral and ended up helping 24 cities get together in real life. And then that was like no code, huge pain in the ass. 6 months later, everyone asked to do it again. And I was like, God, no. But then so many people asked, I was like, there must be some kind of app for this. Obviously, I'm very familiar with all the event apps. I'm a major host. And tried using a really popular event tool, but just didn't help us like scale that like one level higher. Yeah. All the other existing event apps assume that the host is initiating the event and the host wants to host the event. Anyway, Jason tried to hire me and I said, thank you, but no thank you. Because I was running my own company. And then he came back a few weeks later. He's like, how about I write you a check for $100,000 and you start a startup?
Whoa.
That is River. So we now work with really big brands and influencers to help them orchestrate community-led meetups around the world with no work. And so one of our first customers is Jason from This Week in Startups. So he's a customer twice over from All In and This Week in Startups. And we do this thing every month called Founder Fridays, which are not always on Fridays, but that's what they're called. And literally live on This Week in Startups, he was like, it's March for basketball, March Madness. We should do Pitch Madness for founders. And we were all like, oh, really? Okay. And then just spun up all the events to be pitch competitions instead of normal meetups. And then TJ from here in New Hampshire was like, I don't want to drive to Boston. Let's host something in Portsmouth. And I was like, okay, come to the lounge of my apartment and we will hammer this out.
That was the best thing that you guys ever did, because I have to go to Boston tonight for a pitch event. And I'm like dreading it because I feel like garbage a little bit, but like, yeah, I mean, so it was actually really fun because like I went to this event. I saw Josh mentioned it. That's actually how I don't know how to say Josh's last name. Does anyone know how to say it? Sear? Yeah. Josh, don't yell at me. I know you're watching the stream because I saw your comment. I've never known how to say your last name. So but I saw you posted about it, which is how I ended up signing up. And by the way, the River UI is slick. Like the app worked great. It gave you information. It felt kind of more intimate than a normal event app. Is that like a vibe you're trying to do?
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, I'm just building it exactly as I want it to be built.
It started out mostly like it was originally like, oh, we're just helping orchestrate the crowd because basically All In and Twist, like they basically just like tweet, and then the story on our side is like basically if you tweet, we'll help everybody get pointed in the right direction and hang out together. But yeah, we're kind of morphing and improving the UI, I'd say.
So I will plug people. Anyone that follows me that like, let's say you're one of those sales influencer people or you built a community, you should totally go talk to these guys, because this is like, it's way cooler. It's more unique. It's kind of designed for those type of people. Like, for example, like I'm going to call out prospects for you. Jared Robin at Rev Genius should use this. The guys at Pavilion should use this. I don't care if anyone sees this, tell them about it. It's pretty cool. Like,
thank you.
I should have queued up a screen share of your app because it's pretty neat. But
no, it's okay.
Yeah,
you know what the whole notion is like, so when Jason, I kind of was trying to go fast, but the second time we did the meetups for All In, we did in 50 cities with 2,000 people. And Jason was like, how the hell did you do that? And I was like, because he just thought I was going around planning them myself. I was like, no. I make the host do it. Like, I tell the host. So it's all about sourcing the host and vetting the host. And people want to host. Like, people, they don't want to come up with an event series on their own, and they don't want to like plan an event and then have no one show up. But when you orchestrate it from the brand level or the influencer level, all the RSVPs are there and almost guaranteed if you live in a pretty big city. And so oftentimes there'll already be like 15 people RSVP to an event before our host emerges.
Yeah.
And then the host applies and it's like, okay, well, all I have to do is pick a venue. And then sometimes the host will hem and haw and they'll be like, where do I have it? I'm like, dude, just pick your favorite coffee shop or your favorite pub that you're already going to right by your house, and everyone will come. And so you just, these orders of magnitude, different kind of events. Like when we launched with Tim Ferriss for his 10th anniversary of his podcast, he announces it. 3 weeks later, 154 meetups with like 4,000 people. So it's just like an insane number of events that you would never, I call it just like a whole new paradigm for events, because you would never plan 150 events. You'd want to kill yourself.
Yeah, it's fun. One of the things I really liked doing at that meetup that we did was like trying to think of go-to-market strategies for these people that were pitching. Because like I did that for years for Lead IQ and for like some stuff with Dine and a couple other companies. And in my head, I was thinking the whole time, like, not only are there so many creators and influencers that are doing meetups and groups and have these communities and stuff, but another part of it is actually, I don't know if you guys have looked into this, but there's been a huge rise again of companies doing user conferences.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've looked into that space yet, but like I'm seeing it every day. Chili Piper just did one a couple weeks ago. My old company, Lead IQ, just did one last week. Outreach does them. Gong's doing them. Like they're doing these, like, instead of getting like these big expo halls, they just do small, intimate kind of things like what we just did.
Yeah, we have so much work to do. We literally this morning launched River 2.0. So if you're saying the UI looks good, that's because we announced it this morning. We released it. We haven't even announced it, actually. We just quietly like set it live. But yeah, we've just been in build mode after we raised funding this fall. And now I feel like we kind of have like a new face, a new structure. And now like outbound is happening big time. Yeah,
good. So I feel like I somehow took over the stream like a jerk.
No. I wanted to I was like lit up when we did our kind of jam session. And by the way, not everyone did it the way we did it. Some people just said like show up and pitch and this event is the competition. But I love rolling up my sleeves with other founders and just like going like everyone is just locked in for 4 hours and it's like the room stinks when you leave because everyone's just like white knuckling it. But I wanted to like put our best foot forward because there's actually some incredible builders in New Hampshire. But I just felt like if we said, rip the Band-Aid off right now, everyone's like going into the gauntlet competing. I just didn't think that was not the vibe I was going for. So I was like, okay, let's workshop.
This was the event page, by the way, for people that want to know. I'm going to add it so people can see what your app looks like. So this is like how it was set up on River and stuff. All right, keep going. I didn't mean to. I just want to see what it looks like.
Yeah, so I wanted everyone to get to know each other, roll up each other's sleeves, and then just like put our best foot forward for all of these pitches. And then I was like, okay, you'll submit your pitch like async offline, and then we'll judge like asynchronously, basically is what happened. We had some great judges. So Jeremy Hitchcock, he's like kind of a tech celebrity from New Hampshire. I can't really rattle off his bio, but he's definitely.
I could rattle off his bio.
Do it.
So Jeremy was my I interned for Jeremy at one point. So Jeremy Hitchcock, him and Tom Daly started this company called Dyn out in WPI. It was like a open source managed DNS service, and they ended up like putting up a call to like people that were using it, saying, "Hey, donate money, and we'll add extra services to this thing." And overnight, they raised over like $40,000 from all their users, and they used that to open an office, and they ended up building up this company as like a self sign-up business for about 8 years. And then back in like 2007, 2008, they started playing around with this idea of making an enterprise version of their product. And they went from charging $18 a year to $200 a month. And luckily for me, I had the fortune of interning there, and I managed and did all their video stuff, like when I was an intern senior. So that's how I knew Jeremy. And I ended up like working there as an intern, and then eventually I got hired there to do I was their first prospector. So like I did all their sales prospecting and tried to recruit people to go pay from $18 a year to go pay $200 a month at least to upgrade to Dynect. And that's how I ended up like getting there. And they blew up like crazy after that. Like they had product market fit. People loved it. The network was amazing. And they were able to go like we were able to go get like all these amazing companies that we use every day today, like Quora, Netflix, Amazon, like Twitter was one of them coming up. Like, just they went and got all these companies. Some company in New Hampshire is doing all this, which is awesome.
So cool.
Yeah, and they ended up. Jeremy ended up selling the company in 2016 to Oracle, and then he went and started another company. One of the things that happened when he's at Dyn is like, is this too long of a bio?
No, I think this is so interesting.
Okay.
Keep listening, Jeremy.
Okay.
So, just briefly, DNS like Dyn. Like there's only one other competitor. So, right? I mean, Dyn is like just like
there were definitely. So when I was there, we saw a bunch of competitors come up. The biggest one that was most popular in the enterprise space was a company called Newstar. They made a product called Ultra DNS, and that was our big competitor when we went into the enterprise space. And then there were
I haven't heard of them.
Yeah. So have you guys ever switched cell phone providers?
God, no.
No.
Okay. So if you ever switch your cell phone provider to a different network, like let's say you use T-Mobile and switch to Verizon, when they port your number over from the old network, because those cell phone networks own that phone number, Newstar provides infrastructure and gets paid by all the cell phone carriers for each time that they port from one network to the other. And that's how they made their money. And then they were like, oh, we should get in on this internet thing. The kids seem to like it. And so they ended up jumping in and doing that instead. That's how they ended up like getting started on this thing. But anyway, so after Dyn got sold to Oracle, Jeremy started another company called Minim. It was meant to be like when we were at Dyn, one of the things that happened is Dyn got a DDoS attack from people that like had set up all this malware stuff on like furnaces and refrigerators and stuff. And it was sending denial of service attacks through all these devices across the world. And it took the network down. It was such a big current event that Obama's press secretary literally talked about it. Like it was all over the news that all these websites went down for a couple hours. And it was all because they were using Dyn and this DDoS attack, biggest DDoS attack of all time when it happened.
Wow.
And so he made a company to like avenge the DDoS attack and make stuff that protects your devices you have in your network. Long story short, he ended up IPOing it, taking it to NASDAQ, and like I don't know what happened after that, but he's now like doing his own VC and stuff called New North Ventures.
Oh, so he did well then.
Yeah, so he's very acconched. We're not.
And he still responds to my emails. He doesn't even know me. I was like, "Hey, yo, you want to judge this pitch competition?" He's like, "Yeah."
He's very giving to the startup community. He's one of the first people that I talked to when I was starting my company. I like went to him and was like, "Hey, how do I make this not suck?" And he gave me some advice and stuff. But
Incredible.
You guys should see. You should see how terrible our first deck was compared to
I'm
like.
sure. Oh, everything. I mean, our first prototype, everything is just dog shit. But if you were happy with it, like you shipped 3 years too late. Because like we just released River 2.0 and I'm still not happy with it. I mean, I'm happy, but I'm not happy. Like there's just always more to do. Always.
I should have left Meet IQ a year earlier to work on this just because the environment got way harder, I think. Is that fair? I mean, how are you guys? Yeah, right. It's harder now than it was a couple years ago, right?
Well, I didn't have this idea. Like, I wasn't like seeking to start a company.
Yeah.
Ryan and I were both like doing really well with other things. And then, you know, it was almost Jason's idea to start a company. I mean, I guess I was kind of like, yeah, I guess I could like write some code or bootstrap it, but I wasn't really thinking seriously about it.
Yeah.
Until Jason was like, here's $100,000. Please think of a name and open a bank account and start building something. And then I was like, I had no code written, no pitch deck, no vision, just had been like mad scientist. Like,
you had a vision. I disagree there. You had a vision.
No, I wasn't like, this is the company I'm building. This is what we're doing. I had just been like, you know, that guy who's like smoking a cigarette and he's like making all these things connect. Like we had just been like Zappiering and like just a bunch of no code, like very brittle, like solving a problem. But, you know, when Jason offered me the money, and I'm not anti VC, but I've been in tech. We've both been in tech since 2012. Been at like lots of startups. Some were supposed to make it, you know. And I would just say, like, it wasn't on my bucket list to start a venture-backed company. Like, I wasn't like, must get into YC to feel self-fulfillment. Like, you know, it just wasn't on my list of things. And I was running I co-founded a product marketing agency. It was doing quite well revenue-wise, making great money, not working on Fridays, like, which is why I had some time to like organize 50 meetups around the world that I wasn't going to. But I was like, how many times does an investor of Jason's caliber who can provide distribution and be your first customer offer you $100,000 with no code, no pitch deck, no nothing, no strings, just like, here, just go? And I was like, oh, curiosity gonna kill this cat.
I think that like as a original, like kind of more of originally a marketer, I feel like distribution is so freaking important. Like if you don't have distribution, it's way harder to do stuff. And like, for example, if I didn't have a decent following on LinkedIn, I probably wouldn't have started this. I probably would have just got another job somewhere.
Totally.
I'm like, I got people, they somewhat do stuff with me. Like I know a lot of people. I've done the startup thing a couple times. It's like, oh, why don't I try and do my own and see if I can do it? I think there's a lot of fulfillment with like the challenge of owning something versus like doing stuff where you're just working for other people.
That is a counterfactual. Oh, go ahead, Ray.
How do you think about that? Like, so at some point, obviously, you didn't have distribution. Like, how did you build your first like chunk?
So when I think the first time I did it straight up without having like an established base was when I joined Lead IQ. So I was at Lead IQ. I was the first business hire. Jason invested in Lead IQ, by the way. So like, that's kind of why I follow This Week in Startups and actually, it's a huge coincidence. I swear I don't have like a personal relationship with Jason, but Jason like also was on Dine's board. So like, it's just kind of a huge coincidence. But Jason, May and Angelo, who started Lead IQ together, had a startup. They built like a thing where you could put someone's like email address in a spreadsheet and it would go enrich everything in the spreadsheet for you. And they brought it to pitch Jason. May wrote a cold email to him. Jason wrote back and said, sure, let's take a meeting. Did a meeting. And he said, can you invert this so that I'm on a social profile and I can get everything else? Kind of like what Full Contact was doing at the time. Mm-hmm. And they built it in like a week and did a demo. And he's like, I love it. Come be in launch.
He loves builders. Product velocity to him is everything. Yeah.
And Angelo and May were able to put something together. I think in like I heard in less than a week, they were able to put it together. And it's funny. I know one of the things that they called the app Magic with an X originally. And like they ended up going through launch and they came out of it calling it Lead IQ. So, which ended up being great. And, you know, so when I joined there, they had, I don't know, we probably had 5 or 6 customers that were using their extension and stuff, mainly from like May doing some hustling to get in front of people. You guys know how it is. Like you get your first users from people you know and stuff. And what we did kind of to get things going from zero is the first thing I did is I went and like, I just started doing stuff with people that had our audience already. And I would do all the work. So like I would do the video editing. I would do the cutting. I would do like, I'd put together the webinar. I'd make the landing page. I'd do the email copy. I literally gave it to them and said, here, just get this out to your list. And we would cross-pollinate and build up our email list slowly by doing stuff like that. And like you do, and the biggest thing that if you're a startup and you're watching this and you're like, oh, how do I do this from scratch? don't make things great. Just do good. It's okay if they're kind of shitty, and do high volume instead. Our whole marketing team approach at Lead IQ is like, I'm going to treat it like a late night talk show. 4 nights a week, I have to put something out, no matter what. If I get sick, if I'm like feeling bummed, if I got writer's block, something has to go out every day. And if I can't come with anything, I'll get someone on that can. And
quality comes from reps. People are always like, oh, this is crappy, I'm not going to ship it. I'm like, well, first of all, at the beginning, no one's looking. Like literally no one is seeing what you're putting out anyway. So who cares? Also, you can delete it later. Like I delete tweets all the time that I'm like, oh, this is going to be a banger. And then I get 7 likes and I delete it. So you can delete content anytime. But then just the instincts and the quality comes from putting in the reps. And then it starts to become a muscle. I mean, you have way more followers on LinkedIn than I do, but.
Oh, it doesn't matter. It's just honestly part of that's because I just did stuff in the sales space, and salespeople hang out on LinkedIn more than who you guys are probably going after, right?
Totally.
So go ahead. Sorry, Ray.
Oh, just to close the loop on the judges that we had for the pitch because we.
Sorry. I'm great.
No, it's okay. So Troy Farkas, I met him at a coffee shop in Portsmouth, and I overheard him say the terms descript, and I was like, ears perked, and then he said the word Riverside, and I was like, this guy's gotta be in tech. Turns out he's a producer at Spotify.
Yeah.
But he has his own show on the side called Seacoast Stories, and he just interviews people in the Seacoast area, which is like New Hampshire, Maine, Massachusetts, but like along the ocean area, which is where we all live. And so I invited him to something, I can't remember, but then he had us on his pod. And then I guess the episode did really well. And then he had a live podcast show, and we were like one of the guests on his live podcast show. And then he expressed interest in like being part of the pitch competition in some way. And so he was a judge. It was great to have his eyes because he's not like an engineer, like a software developer, so especially for your pitch, he's like, I don't know what any of these words mean, which was
I actually, he was you're talking about Dylan, right?
No, Troy Farkas. He's he was kind of in the back, but he's a podcast producer.
A guy in the back kitchen. I couldn't remember everyone's name. When I was doing my pitch the whole time, I was thinking I need to dumb this down even more. I usually make a rule, like my rule, this is gonna be ageist, sorry for people that hear this. I call it the grandma test. If my grandmother can't hear my pitch and doesn't understand what I'm doing, then it's probably not a good pitch.
But it's not even dumbing it down. Like Troy is obviously highly intelligent, and I'm sure your grandma is too. But it's just like, jargon and like, B2B prospecting and pipeline manager. It's like, what are all these words? Like, you don't have to be dumb to not know what they are. It's just, industry speak. And then we also had Josh Sear, who we all love. You can probably still give a better bio than him, but he's one of the first people I met when I came back to New Hampshire. And he's plugged into the UNH entrepreneurship program now, but he's just been in startups for ages, been building out the community. Yeah. Wonderful guy.
I got to know Josh he used to work at the Alpha Loft, which was a little accelerator in New Hampshire for startups. And I used to come in sometimes and mentor some of the startups and marketing stuff. So like Josh would have me come do talks once in a while, or have me. Actually, I did one where I watched people pitch, which was kind of fun. The pitches they were doing were sales pitches, though, not VC pitches. So I was looking at them like, here's my deck for selling as a seller. It was really fun. And I hadn't seen him in years. I still follow him on LinkedIn and other social sites, which is how I saw the event that you guys were hosting.
Yeah, I don't know how he found me, but when I this is so funny. You'll appreciate this as a marketer because print is not dead. When we first got, we've been coming to Portsmouth for 20 years. Every time we came home to visit our parents, we would go out for a date night in Portsmouth. We have friends here, but we're not connected professionally. In fact, Boston is probably my least well-connected city, even though we're from New England, because I spent 7 years in we just spent so much time in other cities. But I'm like, there's got to be some tech people here. There's no way Ryan and I are the only ones who moved here. So I made a flyer in Canva and I printed out 30 flyers and I hung them up around town. And it was like a startup meetup that we hosted at Hearth, and Josh came to it. And when I asked everyone, like, how'd you find out about it? Because I posted on LinkedIn, I posted a bunch of places, and most people were just like, oh, I saw the flyer. And I was like, print is not dead. Let me tell you that.
That's awesome. So we'll go into this, but one of the things we're doing at Pitchfire is we do like paid prospecting campaigns. So like a company will come to us and be like, these are people we've been trying to prospect. They're not responding. Can we offer them some money through you guys? And we go like do stuff to support that. And I looked into doing direct mail for people that are getting pitched. It's very expensive. Which sucks. That's one of the reasons. Huh? What were you saying?
Well, I think direct mail, like if you have like a really small target, like if you're opening a gym in Portsmouth and you just want to sell like into like, you know, the Newcastle zip code or whatever, I think it like makes more sense. But if it's like, if it's like software, I think that's like harder to do.
I mean, bulletin boards are free.
The cost of printing the flyers and then like having boots on the ground to hang them up, but
I don't know. I look at some of these bulletin boards and I'm like, wow, there's a lot of cards up here for lawyers, massage therapists, and like, you know, other unlicensed folks as well. And just like, maybe that's the new, I don't know.
I'm going to steal that. I'm going to go just put Pitchfire like one pagers on every single board in the area and see if I thought about, do you guys ever, you live here. Do you guys, it's a pain in the ass to clean your car, right? Or do you guys have a parking garage, don't you, where you are?
No, we're just in a parking lot.
Yeah.
You know how you clean your car?
Oh, the snow, you mean?
Yeah. I thought about going to like an office park and just cleaning everyone's car when it snows out and then putting a Pitchfire card on the windshield.
Wow.
Like I was thinking of that. Like, what if because I like it's not bad, right? I use a snow broom or something.
That's right. Hit me up. I can get my exercise.
Well, in the industrial parks, I mean, in all seriousness, I think this actually is a good idea because you think about what you just said, like cost of print and then mailing something out. What's the cost of printing something out and then hiring, like, I'm not kidding, hiring a TaskRabbit to just, hey, go to this.
I didn't even think of that. I was going to do the labor, but look at this. Well, so I don't know if you guys saw this, but I'm trying to walk the entire length of the United States in 1 year. So like I walk 7 miles every day. Even today I'm ill and I did it this morning. I like woke up at 6 a.m. and just hated my life and did it. I'm trying to do like 7 miles every day. And I was thinking if I'm going to do these steps in this distance, I might as well be cleaning someone's car that has snow on it. Because I'm like doing
or anyway. You know, so our friend Shaggy, he lives in Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
And he did an experiment with his buddy. They did Christmas tree light installations.
Yeah.
So like Christmas decoration lights. And their best converting asset was yard signs.
Oh, like you do
he did targeted digital ads. He did Instagram. He did Facebook digital, like to highly targeted. Like he's a smart guy. He knows how to run digital campaigns. Yard signs work the best.
That checks out. I mean, that checks out. I had to get some waterproofing stuff done in my basement, and a house I was walking by just had a yard sign. I took a picture of it. I didn't call them, but I thought about calling them.
Yeah. Well, if anyone sees like a snow removal crew next winter, it'll be me and Ryan.
Yeah, we're doing guerrilla marketing here, okay?
That's right.
What you guys should do is you should actually go find out if there's any like creator studios in Boston or like another city, Portland, like New York City. They make like suites where there are like 20 Jasons that just record all their stuff every day.
Yeah.
And then you go do it. I don't know. They might walk there. But like, if they don't, there could be some targeting there. You just need
or like send them all, like buy them all lunch. Just be like, lunch is on river. Yeah. That'd be fun.
This is like when you're trying to hire candidates. I think it might be Keith Raboy or Peter Thiel said something like, go to where the talent is. Don't just post the thing on Indeed or whatever, but like actually go to them. And what you guys are describing is like, no, literally walk over to them and fucking clean their car. Sorry, this is LinkedIn.
Yeah, that's right.
Freaking clean their car.
Let me tell you, you'll appreciate this, Ryan. This is how we got my first million to use River. So Sam Parr had seen the unofficial all-in meetups when it was just like an Airtable and me like going crazy.
Yep.
He's like, this is cool. If somebody does this for my first million, I'll shout you out on the pod. And then a bunch of guys like respond with like their own landing page. And I was like, guys, do not compete. I'm telling you, you're going to regret being born if you try to do this manually on your own like I did. Because I even had like, my marketing agency had employees so that like I had help and I still regretted being born. I was like, if you guys all agree to collude and like we're together, I'll hop on a Zoom call and tell you exactly what I did and like what worked and what didn't. They all agree. They hop on the Zoom call. They still can't they still don't pull it off. Like nothing happens. So I'm like, okay, Sam, I'm going after him as soon as like the river prototype's ready. And so like, of course I could email and prospect him and like, but I'm sure he doesn't even look at his email anymore. He's just like post email,
Yep.
You just like, you've made it when like someone else just checks your email and you don't even have to check it. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to get after this guy in like an extremely targeted way. So when I was ready, then he had a baby and I was like, okay, bad timing. He's in, papa mode. Like that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And then I thought he started kind of like, I set a calendar. I was like, 12 weeks, whatever. He'll start like emerging. Then his dog died, his beloved dog. He just loves this dog. And I knew he was like devastated, like definitely not interested in doing anything. So I had to wait for that. But then he tweeted out, I'm going to this marketing event tonight in Austin. And there's still tickets. I bought a ticket to this event. By the way, I live in New Hampshire, if anyone's not following along. Our founding engineer, Andrew, was living in Austin. But he's not like a marketing networking person. And it was a marketing event. He's an engineer. And I was like, Andrew, you are going to this event tonight. And then I was like, guys, commence Operation PSYOP Sam Parr. So I had been collecting an email list of people who like, which communities do you want to see on River? And it was just a write-in field. And some people would write MFM. Some people would write my first million. Some people would write my first million because they would misspell it. So I go through and I manually check the whole list. I email them. I send my LinkedIn post and I send my tweet. And it's like, Sam, I'm ready to do this for you. And then I emailed all the people who had put like some permutation of my first million. I was like, guys, today's the day. You're going to like the hell out of this tweet. Everybody likes the tweet. I sent him an email, and this all had like a personalized Loom video of me being like, this is what I want to do. And then, so I send the tweet, I send the email, I send the LinkedIn post, it gets all the likes. And then at the end of the night, Andrew goes up to Sam and is like, can I get a selfie? By the way, I'm Andrew from River. Ray wants to talk to you. And then I get a text message that's like, okay, let's do it or something. And I remember someone who like very kindly gave me Sam's email and like didn't realize like how hard it is to prospect people. And I know,
Yeah.
He was like, you're welcome for giving you that email and getting you Sam Parr as a customer. And I was like, well, it was a little more, like sniper lined up strategy than just like, if only we could just fire off emails to people and they would become customers.
That reminds me of when I was at Lead IQ, we were trying to break into Log Me In. You guys know the company Log Me In?
Yeah.
So we wanted to prospect them. Someone came inbound to talk to us and we weren't hearing back from them at all. And I was like, something's up. And what we found out eventually is our emails weren't getting delivered. They were going to the spam folder. So like we were never reaching their inbox, which by the way, if you're watching this and you work in sales, that is a very serious problem. In fact, I've read as low as 1/3 of emails that you write in a cold email are actually hitting the person's inbox and not going to a different folder or spam.
Oh, for sure.
So I did we had this idea. I was like, oh, like I got my camera. This is during COVID when like we're all locked down and like everyone was frumpy and overweight and stuff. And like I had like it literally right here in this spot. I put on a tuxedo and I just made this video where I auditioned to be their spokesperson. And I threw it up on like, what I did is I filmed it and I'm like, well, I can't email this because they're not going to see it if I email it because my emails can't get delivered. And I just literally decided, screw it, I'm going to just put it on LinkedIn. So I had my editing guy, Nick Edgar, add a little disclaimer at the beginning. And we just threw it up on LinkedIn on my video and said, hey, log me in. We don't know anyone there, but if anyone follows me, does, tag them below. We'll do this video for you. And I should have queued it up to play because it's pretty funny. But like, the whole idea is I'm a terrible spokesperson and I have like a mental breakdown in the middle of my pitch. Like, I do this. I think if I remember, what ended up happening is it worked so well, we did like 13 more, and I just redid the same idea over and over again, of like different startups. But I put on LogMeIn, and it's funny in LinkedIn, if you have premium, you can click on the views and see where people are from companies, and 1,200 of the views were from LogMeIn. So like, I knew
someone saw it, posted in Slack, boom.
Yeah, and then so someone posted it, a bunch of people came and watched it, and then the people that got tagged direct messaged me on LinkedIn, and we ended up booking a meeting with them that way, and we got off their blacklist.
Incredible.
So yeah, like you gotta do some. The thing people always forget is like sometimes you just gotta do stuff that doesn't scale.
Oh, totally. And when I tell people, this is how we did it, they're like, okay, but is there a shortcut? I'm like, no, you just have to chew the glass and stare into do the work, Yeah,
like everybody assumes that, like, all right, so I'll give you an example. Let's say I did that, but I did one of those things every day, and there's 220 business days in a year. It sucks because I hate when I repeat the same number, because I'm gonna have 220 is one of the stats that we have always in our pitch deck and stuff. But like 200, you do 220 days in the year that you go and work on stuff. If you do the math out, 220 wins is a lot. That adds up to be a lot. It ends up, if you get, let's say you get 220 conversations a year just as yourself, and then you start thinking about like, it ends up being 1 or 2 new customers maybe a month. That's 12 or 13 enterprise customers you might have not had before. Little wins add up to be a lot.
And then those become case studies, which become social proof. And this was something River like doubled on so hard at the beginning. We only went after big influencers, but like our first 3 users were all in This Week in Startups, My First Million, then Brian Johnson, then Tim Ferriss. And it's like, I hunted those people like a dog, but now people are like, oh, can you scale? I'm like, well, are you bigger than Tim Ferriss? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, it perpetuates itself. It becomes a flywheel.
Yeah. It's funny. I'd love for someone to write a book. People do books obviously on like there's Traction. That's a great book to read about like channels and startups and stuff. But like, I wish someone would do a book on like the one moment that tipped the car or changed the deck.
The tipping point.
Yeah. But not, the tipping point's not that though, right? There is a book called The Tipping Point, right? It's not that, right? Like, I'd love to just go through, like, good example. Twitter had been around for years. They were a podcasting platform called Odeo. No one was using them. Internet connections weren't good enough to download and stream podcasts like Sound. It basically was a SoundCloud clone, but the internet connection wasn't good enough yet. They pivoted to making Twitter, and they didn't really get legs until they launched it South by Southwest. So like they went to South by and told a bunch of people, communicate and post everything that's happening. This is a social network for South by Southwest. Then all those people went, posted stuff about South by Southwest with the hashtag. 2 weeks go by, the event's over, everyone's flown home. I mean, you guys went there a couple weeks ago, right?
Mm-hmm. We were there, yeah.
I would love to know that. I feel like we broke format. I'm so sorry.
There's no format. No, I just saw your freaking amazing video last night. I was like, A, this is funny as hell. B, let's do a LinkedIn Live or something.
All right. Thank you. Yeah, I didn't want to crap on New Hampshire too hard on it. I made a couple of jokes, but
it was so funny. I'm constantly torn. We can talk about this in a minute, but I'm constantly torn. And like, New Hampshire is awesome, but like, if we tell everyone, it won't stay awesome.
No, it's huge. So I live in Newmarket. If anyone wants to come rob me, I'm in Newmarket, by the way. So feel free to
go rob Ryan, not me.
I'm glad you robbed me. During COVID, so many people moved up here that if you go to Epping, for example, which is where I used to go to Market Basket to get food, it is like a huge to-do if you go at 5 p.m. It feels like you're driving in Massachusetts. And I'm like, how did this happen? I don't know. Yeah. And it's like that up north too. Like a bunch of people, snowbirds used to retire down in Florida and Arizona in the wintertime when they're elderly. Now they're moving up north because property tax is less. So like Conway, Madison, Tamworth, those whole regions saw a huge surge in people and retirees that moved up there. I actually don't know what they're going to do because the hospital's up there,
But yeah. No, it's super interesting. I always hear people talking about Texas and Florida and I never hear anyone mention New Hampshire. And I understand it's cold up here, and there isn't like a huge major city, but Boston's an hour away from Portsmouth. And then it is colder, but like the summers in Texas and Florida just are like crippling to me. So the cold doesn't bother me, but it's like there's no income tax, there's no sales tax. There is property tax, but I find the appraisals to be lower in New Hampshire than in Massachusetts. So I'm not even sure the property taxes are that much higher. And then it's like a socially liberal state compared to Florida and Texas, which have a little more social conservatism. So,
there's tons of space to build also. Like, I mean, I've heard some people joke like, oh, Grafton and Coas County, like there's lots of, I would say there's lots of human potential here too. There are people here that like there's lots of space. Like, yeah. If we start moving toward a country that starts building things, like onshoring again, like come to New Hampshire. Like I'm dead serious. Yeah. It's really, really nice. The temperature is like you gotta shovel.
There's also real tech founders here. I mean, Ryan and I, we're here. Rivers founded here. Pitchfire is here. I was in the lobby of our apartment building, and it's like I was digging through the trash because I thought I'd thrown out a check from the state of California for my business in like part of the spam, like the magazine, whatever newspapers they send you.
Yeah.
And this guy comes up to me. He's like making a coffee and he's noticing that I'm digging through the trash. And he's like, "Oh, rough day, huh?" Like, I was like, "Yeah, I'm looking for this check." And then he made a comment about like crypto, and he's like, "Oh, if only we had like ways to send money, like, you know, secure ways to send money like that weren't checks." And I was like, yeah, you would think that, except, you know, one of my investors, one of my Web3 investors, they sent the money and no one can find it. And it turns out it was like they sent it in euros and Mercury doesn't accept anything but USD. So JP Morgan didn't let anybody know. And it just stayed there in no man's land forever. And he was like, wait, what? Because, you know, I just was like probably in my pajamas with like no makeup and I don't look like a tech CEO who like raised venture capital from Web3 companies.
Yeah.
And then I was told him, he's like, oh shit, no way. And he was with Watchdog Capital, which sold to crypto.com. And like literally the company is headquartered in our apartment building. Wow. So anyway, there's like shit happening here. It's not just like, you know, mountains and squirrels.
You want to hear a funny story that's gonna make you guys be like, what happened? No. 2011, when I was at Dine, I went out to CES to film. We were doing like a lot of stuff that we were sponsoring the Startup Alley that they do. So they have like a little like part of CES that's expo for startups. And I did a lot of stuff in the startup community, like at Dine with like developing that, doing hackathons, getting people to know about us and use us for stuff. And anyway, I went out there. One of the people, I filmed a bunch of funny videos. So I'd go up to a booth and like interview the person that had a company. And like, I would do like remove the fourth wall commentary narrative. Honestly, it was kind of like me and the team at Dine, like the marketing team, we tried to make it like kind of like Daily Show stories that they used to do. So like one of them, I'm holding a lav mic up to someone and I'm like, look at my hand, it's humongous. Like doing like little well, the guys like giving us some. Anyway, one of the guys that we featured was this guy named Tony Giuseppe, who started a company called BitPay. Have you guys ever heard of BitPay?
No, but
they were one of the first like online crypto bank accounts. So like you could keep your units and your stuff there.
Oh, yes.
And anyway, as a thank you for doing the interview. Oh my God, I don't know. I can't even tell this on a LinkedIn Live. As a thank you for doing the interview, Tony gave me an account with 200 units of Bitcoin in it. And
you kept it, right? You didn't lose the login credentials.
I lost the login info.
You lost
it. my friend Kelly White, who worked at Dine, who now has her own agency in the UK. Shout out to Red Cow Media. What's up, Kelly? She came to the United States to work here for 6 months, and I gave her a bunch of my furniture to keep in her apartment. And when she moved back to the UK, she threw out my furniture. And my furniture, one of my nightstands that was in there had the login slip. And like, it's like on a card. I know. Don't do this. Don't.
That's $17 million, my friend.
You
lost $17 fucking million.
What kind of nightstand was it? Where did you live?
Let's go look for it.
2011. It was 2011. And by the way, I had lived in a house in Manchester, New Hampshire with like 3 other friends. And like when we were moving, we stripped the house trying to find it. Cause like, I had like this big box of cards I had from conference. Do you guys ever have those like back in the day? Like
from Manchester? Sorry, I just need to. So you lived in
It's like I need to understand.
No.
Here's the thing. There's no way that Tony didn't take those units back, right? Like if they were giving them away, there's no way that he wouldn't keep if someone didn't use them for a while and never logged in, why wouldn't he just go grab them and give them back and give them to other customers?
So he can just log into your thing?
Well, it wasn't his wallet.
It was they made these they pre-made accounts at CES. So anyone that came and did stuff with them that was in the media, they gave as a thank you, they gave them an account. It was mainly to like try and get my influence to go talk about his service with other people that might be interested in cryptocurrency.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what a mistake. Let's just say like I bought this big check because we were going to do a contest that ended up not happening. I could have had a big check for myself. It would have been really nice. And I would have done something with that. We completely went off course.
It doesn't matter. Can we talk about the pitch bracket? Do you have that? Like, can you tee that up just to show the bracket? Because I love how they put freaking Portsmouth, New Hampshire up against San Francisco. Like, Jesus.
Hold on. I gotta get. All right. Let's talk about this for a second. I need to get 1 second. I need to find it because it was in that tweet. I grabbed the file, but I had that in an external hard drive downstairs. So keep talking, you two, really quick.
Ryan Lambert, how was the pitching event for you? Because I know we weren't really pitching; we were just kind of hosting. But like, what was your takeaways?
Yeah, there's quite a few. There's quite a few strong AI and hardware folks around. Shout out to TJ. I won't share. TJ is kind of in stealth secret mode, but he shared a few bits with me, and I'll just say like the people that have. I don't know how old he is, but maybe he's in his 20s. But he just like what he's working on is at the level of seriousness of like, I don't know, like the Palmer Luckies of the world. Of course, TJ is doing something I think in energy, but I just like the audacity and like dead serious. And like after chatting with him, like his capability, like his technical acumen over his experiences, that kid's like, I was just like, I just want to like,
let me
see what you get up to. Can you just
let me wet this beak?
Yeah. So I'm really impressed with that. And to be honest, I think in New England, I think there actually are a lot of people that have the technical capability, just the Silicon Valley audacity, I think. And kudos to Jason. Thanks for doing all the Founder Fridays, because I think it's encouraging people to have a little more audacity. And I think that's really what we need, because there's plenty of intelligence.
There is. And there's actually a lot of startups that you can't build in San Francisco because it's so expensive.
Yep.
There's no room for hardware. There's so much regulation. Ryan Lambert and I, we were at like a dim sum. We were at like a jam session with Jason in New York. Yep. And Matt, I can't remember Matt's last name, but he's got like a drone hunt, like a duck hunt game, but it works with drones. And then there's like you shoot down the drone, and he was like, "Oh, where do you live?" And Matt was like, "New Hampshire." And Jason's like, "Well, you got to get the fuck out of New Hampshire." And Ryan and I were both like, But he could. You know why he was able to build that? Because he has this huge ass garage basement that he turned into this like crazy workshop. We've got to tour it, like insane. Like he's got like C-3POs walking around down there, and then he's got this huge backyard. Like, you can't build a drone hunting game. You can't build a hardware startup in downtown San Francisco. There's no room.
Yeah, but also, frankly, New Hampshire is a little bit in a way that kind of like Texas kind of is. Like New Hampshire is a little bit more on the spectrum of like, it's not a big
deal. Live free or die, baby.
It's just a drone. even if you're like, well, technically you're not. It's like, yeah. I mean, like, you know.
All right. I got a perfect example of this. By the way, so if I end up taking the audio and putting this in the podcast feed, we're showing the bracket while we talk about this. But just so people that you're hearing voices and stuff, that's what's going on. So I have the bracket shown right here. We're going up against San Francisco with this company called Cretin, I think.
Creatine.
I try not to look at their pitch because I don't want to be just like disheartened if it's really good. But the only thing I feel guilty about is my pitch was over 2 minutes. Like a
lot of people's was over 2 minutes.
Yeah, I like
this is another rule to founders is like you have to break some of the rules because a lot of times the rules aren't that well thought out or no one else is following those rules either. So yeah.
I don't know.
No,
apparently on Friday they're going to go through all the pitches now, which is cool for the final 8. So like they're going to actually show them. And I'm like,
hell yeah.
I heard on the producer notes, they're like, yeah, they're 2 minutes each. And they're like, well, 2 aren't. And I'm like, oh no, I'm one of those 2.
Yeah.
That's all right. Okay. They can watch it at 1.5 speed.
You're in the arena, man. That's all that matters.
Yeah. So I was going to tell you guys a quick story. Did you guys ever do practice board meetings with Jason?
No.
Yep.
So when
we don't have a board, we have safes. We don't have a board.
Yeah. So when I was at Lead IQ, this is one of the coolest things May Sal let me do. I don't know. Have you guys met May ever? She was part of the second launch class. But so May invited me. I was in California, and May invited me while I was in town to go to one of their board meetings and do practice marketing, like practice pitching, talking to a board in marketing. And Jason was one of the people we did it with. We went to his studio and filmed it and recorded it. And like,
cool.
Yeah. I got to, one of the things you do is you do the board, and Jason has all the other founders play the role of like other board member, like after the person goes. So like you pretend you have a 5-person board and it's the other startups. And one of the companies that was there wasn't out yet, but they had built some sort of hardware that you put in a mechanic shop, and you put it on a car and it tracks when a car is ready to get fixed, like oil change, maintenance. And then it'll send you text notifications and stuff that are like, hey, you're due for an oil change, or hey, you've done this much mileage since your last check-in. Your timing belt needs to get redone. And the whole idea is it's like a retention platform for mechanics to use. And the company was started, person was born and raised in California. And the person did this pitch talking about what they're working on and where they're pivoting to. And I remember I like raised my hand and I was like, hey, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but have you ever left California? And have you ever been to a mechanic in New Hampshire?
Yeah.
Because like if you go to a mechanic in New Hampshire, they literally don't even, they're all running Windows XP, like on their computers, and like have like, some of them still have flip phones. They are not technical at all. And like, so like I was telling them like, you need to really like build up your customer success and onboarding to be like, so they don't have to do any work, because these people, a lot of these people, sorry mechanics if you're watching this and you're tech savvy, I'm not trying to generalize, but if you go to them, some of these places, their tech is like 30 or 40 years old.
Yeah.
So totally. It's like, I think it helps that when you're in New Hampshire, you get a little bit more diverse viewpoints on what the world's like and what people are actually going through, as opposed to like the Silicon Valley bubble where everyone, like where you can like take an Uber and get self-driven somewhere. You know what I mean? It's a completely different world there.
Also just different opportunities, like San Francisco is just full of software engineers. So they build a lot of products for software engineers because those are the problems they encounter. But if you live somewhere a little more rural, different kind of climate, different like space, you're kind of like, oh, well, my uncle's mechanic. And, it's like, you don't come from a family of VCs or, everyone working in tech. I have friends, like they're both parents, they work in tech, and their kids are going to work in tech. It's like, it is a little bit like limited. I wanted to point out, looking at this pitch bracket, so we've got like Houston, Boston, Austin, Quincy, New York, Philly, Zurich, Florianopolis, Portsmouth, San Francisco, LA, Yerevan, Denver, Chicago, Arlington, Sydney. I would say 90 or 80 or 90% of these, I guarantee you, I already know who the host is on River. And I can't help but notice that the cities who are having regular Founder Friday meetings are the ones who are making it into the Sweet 16.
Huh. So your pitch here is, hey, join a Founder Friday group, right?
I think, because I just think if if you're solo building on your own and you're just like, oh, I'm busy, I don't have time to go to these stupid networking events. But like these are real, like these meetups, at least the ones that the format we suggest is like a jam session. What's your biggest challenge? 6-minute timer, go. And sometimes it's really uncomfortable because there's 5 other founders telling you that like that idea is dog shit or whatever. And you want to be defensive, but you're just getting a lot more ideas. And I can't help but notice, like, I guarantee you, I know who all these hosts are, and they've been hosting regularly. And I think it shows.
Yeah, that's interesting. I totally think that like it gives you the answers to the test too. I mean, some of you guys went through getting investment from Jason, right? I mean, it's like
in his launch accelerator. We skipped Founder University. We were invited directly into Launch 30.
Wow, maybe I shouldn't have made a startup, and I should have just bumped into Jason.
No, you should definitely make a startup. I mean,
I'm just joking.
Pitchfire looks great. Yeah. I kind of wish we had gone through Founder University, or part of me even wished we had put off joining the accelerator. I don't know. It also was like, because we were the runt of the pack. We were the youngest company. We had the least amount of like code shipped, least in market.
Yeah.
So in some senses, I feel like we were the runt of the pack. On the other hand, we were running next to freaking fast horses, and it made me get my shit together way faster. So regrets.
Have you guys raised other money outside of Jason?
Yeah, so he did the initial 100,000 angel check, part of the accelerator, and then Balaji Srinivasan, who's well known like in the Bitcoin state, he's kind of like the godfather of the network state concept. He invested 50 grand. He wanted to invest 100 on the same terms as Jason, but I was like, oof, sorry, can't sell all my pumpkins at that kind of discount. Yeah. And then after Launch Accelerator ended, we officially kicked off fundraising. And we put together a $1.6 million seed, pre-seed round, whatever you want to call it. And over half of our cap table from that round was external investors, some of which I found by being part of Launch Accelerator, and the other half of the cap table I got on our own.
So is there a lot of, was that mainly through introductions and stuff? Like what worked? I'm asking because, obviously I'm fundraising, so I'm like trying to learn what's the best?
Yeah, so I think what worked is just like the pitch repetition with Launch Accelerator every single week. They bring like a group of like 20 angel investors or fund people, and you pitch in front of them. You have 3 minutes. It's extremely strictly timed. Then they ask questions. You write down the answers, and you have 2 minutes to answer all of them at once. And like, holy crap. And then the feedback you get, just putting you through the gauntlet of pitching. And now like I used to just sweat bullets every time I had to pitch. And now I'm just like, I can do it with my eyes closed. And you get so comfortable with the cohort is small. It's 7 startups. So like if Ed had been out sick, I probably could have pitched for Ed on his behalf, just because you're so used to hearing it. Then, every week they're keeping track of like feedback or questions from angels, and you're kind of like reinforcing your pitch and just like, making your whole business model stronger. Then it's the introductions. So you ask for introductions, but they also like make some suggestions on like, so our first big like commitment outside of launch came because the partner, Ben from Blockchain Founders Capital, he came to the launch demo day. And so he reached out to me that way. And then once they were on board, they made more introductions. So it's like a juicy investor begets more juicy investors. Half of our cap table came together because of intros that started from launch.
Well, cool. Guys, we've been going for like almost an hour now.
I know, and I have to go to an investor meeting in a minute. But
so this has been an emotional journey. We should do this more. It
was cathartic, right?
I feel we got nitty gritty. People watch this and they scribbled some notes and some ideas they can do to build their business up or figure some stuff out. There's some value there. I didn't have to talk. I try not to talk about my company too much, so it's kind of like worked out. You know what I mean? Like I like to just give value and help people, so it was nice.
Yeah. But, no, it was awesome. Thank you for showing up or participating in our pitch event. I was like, holy shit, this guy's.
You guys are amazing. The advice you gave me was great. It made me tweak a bunch of stuff and think about like the storytelling element of it a lot more. And I'm very thankful for that. Hopefully I get to see you guys. We're going to start doing weekly.
Yeah, let's do more. And then I'm really rooting for you. I just feel like it's like such a jerk move to put all these like huge cities like up against these little teeny tiny cities, but it does add to the intrigue.
What?
That is for sure.
No, it's totally. I think it says more about Ryan's price.
I'm proud of it. I wanted, if they didn't put seed numbers, I like to think we're a 16 seed right now. And I hope we could it'd be sick if we could take down California in the first round.
Exactly. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
I guess I put Denver and Chicago together. Those seem like, equivalent cities, but like Portsmouth has, New Hampshire, it's just the population sizes alone are so small. So, but yeah, super interesting. Can't wait to see how it turns out, and like so fun to get to meet you this way because I feel like we're going to have a lot in common.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate it. Everyone go check out River. It's getriver.io.
Yeah, can't afford a better domain than that yet.
Hey. You're gonna get there. Go get the River, guys. You know what I mean? Go do it. If you're someone that watches this and you're thinking about taking your community and turning it into something offline, this is the way to do it. Thank you guys. I really appreciate you for being on. Ryan, sorry we didn't let you talk that much. We're huge jerks.
You're all good.
I invited him because I was like, "Oh, come hang out with me and Ryan," and then like he didn't have like any context or like
the poor guy.
It was still fun to hang out.
We're jerks.
We should. I feel like we should have you on where we're noodling around with another podcast. We'll have you on there.
All right. I appreciate it. Bye, guys. I'll talk to you later.
Oh man, see ya.
Bye.
I think we're good. I think we're